The networks have spent millions of dollars, as required by law, to be ready to transmit a digital signal by yesterday, January 1. To receive the digital signal, viewers will need a set-top decoder box, and at the moment they cost $700, and the only problem is they're almost impossible to buy. The federal government's been accused of overselling the digital idea and backing a policy that locks out all but the existing networks from providing digital services until the year 2008. So are TV viewers confused or enthused? And who are the real winners of this so-called digital revolution? Here's Pip Courtney.
Take the digital technology used in computers, CDs and mobile phones and apply it to television, and you get cinema quality pictures, improved sound and interactivity like home shopping and banking, email and internet services. So now digital's here. Has its arrival been momentous, revolutionary or a damp squib? Well, the debut has left some scratching their heads because of the scarcity of the TVs and decoder boxes needed to utilise the signal. The number of viewers on day one was tiny.
You probably can count them all on one hand today, but set-top boxes were released into the market yesterday on New Year's Day. Demonstrations are in most of the retail outlets and consumers can make a purchase or at least order their set-top box today.
Are you worried that on January 1, when the digital signal's going out, you can't get a TV set or a set-top box for love or money?
No, not particularly. I don't think people are breaking their necks at the moment because they don't really know what's on offer. But as they see the demonstration models and as they talk to their friends and sets are available for purchase, then I think you'll start to get a much better idea of whether this is really going to be revolutionary or evolutionary, and I suspect it'll be the latter.
While Senator Alston is calm about the slow start to the digital age, predicting Australians will eventually embrace it, Melbourne retailer Alex Ensel says digital is too expensive to entrance most Australians and will always be a high-priced niche.
The networks and the government have oversold the benefits, and I think a lot of that is based on ignorance because the people involved have never been involved in selling TVs in their lives. They have this weird view of what the TV market is actually like, and all these desperate people who wanted originally to buy high-definition TV, which at the time were in America $20,000, and we were going to rush quickly into $20,000 TVs. And even if they dropped to $10,000, $8,000, it doesn't make any difference. It's only a very tiny niche market.
The networks say the digital doomsayers are premature in their criticism.
There's no doubt it's been very much a soft launch, and I don't think you're going to get a concerted publicity campaign until there are receivers available in shops. I think the acid test for most consumers is what they actually see on those receivers. I think once you start seeing digital sets in shops, people will, so to speak, kick the tires and decide just what they want. I think it will grow to become a must-have proposition, but it may well take a few years because it will take time for a range of digital services to be presented by the networks and by datacasters.
But Alex Ensel claims consumers are struggling with the digital world, with its dual analogue and digital signals, widescreen TVs, HD TV, SD TV, multi-channelling, datacasting and set-top decoder boxes.
We had a call from an old lady's home in Hamilton. They were worried. And one lady was crying because she didn't know what was going to happen to the VCRs of her family. She thought she'd never be able to use them again. That's not untypical.
Senator Alston says it's too early to judge digital's public acceptance.
No one's going to judge the success of digital television by what occurs on the 1st of January any more than they judged whether black and white television was a success on one day in 1956 or whether colour television was a success in the 70s by virtue of the start-up date. It'll be an ongoing process. It'll continue to improve. There'll be a lot of chops and changes, and I think the time to make the judgment is probably in another 3 or 4 years' time at the earliest.
Cost and confusion aren't the only hiccups. With the federal government opting for high-definition TV, which takes up a lot of room on the spectrum, the extras, or datacasting, like home banking and shopping and email, that digital can deliver may be limited.
I think we're seen as a bit of a laughingstock, honestly, in terms of the way we've made it so restricted. We've made it so restricted for new players, for people with new ideas and who can offer new technologies and new applications. And to have a government basically saying we can't have new players, we can't have new ideas, we've got to protect, if you like, this standard existing players because they've asked for it and they want it and they've put all this money in for this new technology, is seen as a very backward step.
Senator Alston says the federal government has provided the framework for digital to work in Australia by 2008, when the analogue signal will be turned off for good, and that it's the networks to make digital work.
The time to make that judgment is probably halfway towards that date, and then we'll have to look at whether there are measures that need to be taken to either force the networks to make it more attractive, whether there are incentives provided to encourage people to come across, or simply look at what the market is delivering. And I suspect the market will start to deliver free set-top boxes, and you may well find that there are new widescreen sets that simply embed the set-top box, so you don't need an additional component. And if that's the way it goes, then I think, given that most people will buy a new television set over the next 10 years, you mightn't have that problem at all.
So you can hang on to those old TV jalopies you've got in the corner of the room at least until 2004. Be interesting to go back and see what people were saying about television itself in 1956, wouldn't it? Much the same discussion, I imagine. Pip Courtney reporting there.